What's up, Los Angeles? What's up, Ramley? What's going on? Hope everyone's enjoying the game so far. Great first half by the Rams. I figured I'm at home watching it in the office anyway, so I wanted to jump on for just a couple minutes, give some thoughts, some keys, some how we can play in the second half to lock up this win, go in as the number 2 seed into the playoffs, and potentially knock the Niners out of the playoffs, which would be glorious. Also, quickly want to touch on this ridiculous tie scenario for the Chargers coming up later tonight. Just want to talk about it briefly, and then that is it. Done. Enough chatter about that. But the Rams, 17-3 at halftime. Just a dominant performance. I hated how it ended there, giving up the field goal at the end with under a minute, getting the ball back. Obviously not what you want to see, giving them a little bit momentum. Obviously, they get the ball also out of the half, so potentially can be a big swing. So we need to see how these Rams come out in the second half with the defense, see if they get things rolling right off the bat like they did all half. And the defense played fantastic all half. So it was a bummer to see that kind of letdown there at the end. But overall, great half. Great coached from every phase. Offense looked fantastic, moving the ball, staying balanced, even though the running game was not working at all. They're still staying balanced. I mean, they ran the ball 15 times in that first half. 15 times. And they only have 14 yards to show for it. But when you have 15 rushes, 16 passes, it's that balanced attack that has allowed Matthew Stafford on those 16 passes to have 15 completions for 153 yards and 2 touchdowns. The only gripe, and again, this is nitpicking, I don't love on the 3rd and 1, you go empty, Stafford in the shotgun, and it ends up in a sack. Don't love that play call, but it's been such a good, clean half for McVay's play calling for the offense overall that's one that, he'd obviously like to have back. Hindsight's 2020. But yeah, if you're going to go after one thing on the offense, that would be the one. You can tell this team wants it, man. You can tell they want it. Yeah. Empty sets make me crazy. Yeah. They do, all of us, I think. It's one of those weird things, just hasn't worked for this offense overall, those empty sets. But other than that, offense looked great. Defense came to play. Aaron Donald looks great. Von Miller looks great. Taylor Rapp with the interception there on the aerial pass from Jimmy Garoppolo. So again, hate how it ended there with that last drive, but I think overall it is what the Rams wanted to do. I mean, if you came into this game and told anyone you'd be up 17-3 at half, I think we'd all be ecstatic. So now let's see what they do in the second half, though, because there's still a lot of football to play. The way this Niners team is built, they're not built to come back down 2 scores. So it is definitely in the Rams' court to kind of put the foot on the jugular. And I want to see more of those, great drives, those 8-minute sustained drives. But I also expect a deep shot here soon. We haven't seen one yet this game. I think Stafford's played well within what the offense is. Everything we talk about not just the season, but specifically this week, about playing within the offensive scheme, not going back to those Detroit days and trying to play hero ball and force things. He's done that exactly today. I mean, yeah, those 2 sacks, everyone's like, oh man, take a sack there on 3rd down. You'll take that all day over throwing a pick or fumbling like we saw against the Vikings, like we saw against the Niners in the first matchup. You'll take those sacks. Unfortunately, the second one ended up leading to that last field goal for the Niners. But overall, good stuff. Everything we've talked about that we wanted the Rams to do in this game in order to win this game, they've done. I mean, the Niners, they're a good football team. They're going to get theirs eventually. I don't think anyone would say they were thought to be shut out this game. But now let's see how they respond in the second half, because I want to see the defense come out, guns blazing, getting after Jimmy G, because they've stopped the running game too. I mean, the Niners, who gashed the Rams last matchup with 40 carries for like over 200 yards, so far have 5 carries for 10 total yards rushing. 5 carries for 10 yards rushing. They have under 100 yards of total offense. And all of it came on that last drive. The defense is playing fantastic. Let's just see what they do out of the half, because you don't want to have the Niners getting that momentum going into there. So overall, great. I mean, really what I want to see is just much of the same. I think that's your key to winning this game. Just do exactly what you did in the first half. Stay balanced on offense. I know the running game is not working, but it's, like I said, it's making things simple for Stafford, because the defense doesn't just expect to pass on every play like they did in the first matchup. Like once the Rams fell down in that first matchup, they knew all the Rams were going to do is throw the football. by rushing it 15 times, throwing it 16 times, completely 50-50 balanced attack so far. Yeah, the defense has stopped the run, but it's opened things up for the pass, which is great. Cooper Kupp, 52 yards from the record. He's going to get it. 52 yards from the record. I know it's 17 games, but he's going to get it. Doesn't matter. What a hell of a season. Hell of a season. Top 5 receiver. I think he's the best receiver in football. I've had this argument many, many times. Like, his play speaks for itself. Right now, he is the best receiver in football right now, this year. So the key for him being considered great, like, over his career will now be consistently doing this year in and year out. But we have all offseason to talk about that. This game so far, great. 52 yards away from the record. I think he gets it. So yeah, Rams are looking great. Super excited. Hope everyone's enjoying the game. This is exactly what we wanted to see. Nothing would be better than winning this game, getting the 2 seed, and knocking the Niners out of the playoffs. Now, there is still a scenario where the Saints are playing pretty bad. Taysom Hill is out, last I saw, and Trevor Siemian is in. And if the Falcons beat the Saints, I think the Niners can still get in with a loss, unfortunately. So, but all we care about is the Rams winning. That's all we can control. That's all we care about. Get that 2 seed locked in, and then we may end up. I think we would play Philly, regardless if we get the 2 seed. I think Philly's locked in at the 7. I think, based on tiebreakers and whatnot. Yeah, I like it. Want to say one thing quick about the fan base or the stadium optics. I see. First of all, I hate that there's like LA quote unquote reporters that continually bring this up. I won't say who. I don't like throwing anyone under the bus or burning any bridges or whatnot. But when you're an LA reporter, like, let's not be. That's making. I don't know. I'm not in that. But anyway, obviously a lot of Niner fans there. Only thing I'm going to say about it is I hate that this gets continually brought up. The Niners and Raiders were the pseudo LA teams for 20 years when there were no football teams here. Rams are back now. It's been their 6th season. Charging back 5 seasons. Those Niners and Raider fans didn't just disappear when football came back to LA. Those were the home teams in LA for 20 years. If you live in LA, you know that because there were no teams here. Cowboys also have a huge fan base. Broncos have a huge fan base too. Were no teams here. Those were the 2 teams that kind of became the pseudo home teams. So anytime they play here in LA, because they're in the division, Raiders in the Chargers division, Niners in the Rams division, you know there's going to be a lot of fans. It's the way it is. That eventually will change the longer these teams are here because younger generations are following the home teams. I just hate that it is brought up even. It's annoying because it is what it is. Rams have a great fan base here. Chargers have a great fan base here. They're building up. But when you have a fan base of 20 years, they don't just leave all of a sudden. So anyway, last thing I'm going to say about that. Quickly, before second half, so you're going to kick off in just a minute, want to talk about this Chargers tie scenario. Oh, man, I am just sick of hearing. We had to hear about it all week. Reporters continually asking Staley about it. The Chargers are, okay, how can I say this? Because, okay, I know that it's funny because a lot of the arguing I've seen, even among our own LAFB people, is it's kind of like you're saying the same thing in a sense. In my opinion, Brandon Staley and the Chargers in no way, shape, or form will play for a tie. They're not going to play for a tie with that in mind. It's not in their DNA. That's not the culture Brandon Staley's built. You don't play for that scenario and then think you're going to go into the playoffs and win a football game. I don't know if you believe in karma or whatnot, but something about that just doesn't feel right if you're playing for a tie. Now, there are scenarios that could happen throughout the game, and I've seen it brought up, where if the game is tied towards the end of the game or somehow it gets into overtime, do you take into account that, hey, let's just end it here and we're good? I think there will be scenarios where the Chargers may be less aggressive down the stretch. Like if the game is tied with 2 minutes left and you have a 4th and 1 at your 40-yard line or whatnot, then yeah, maybe you do play for the tie. Or not play for the tie, but you don't go for the win. I don't think they'll play for the tie. I think they'll just be less aggressive down the stretch, if that makes sense. But for those first 55 minutes, they're in no way, shape, or form will play for a tie. So that's my 2 cents. I just don't think it's what they've created. It's who they are. I just don't think it's what a football coach in general would do. Regardless of Brandon Staley, what I think of him and the culture he's built, these are players that are here to compete, and you're playing a division rival that you can end their season. And I've seen people say, well, that seems silly. Who cares about ending their season if you ruin your chance to make the playoffs? It's like, well, if you end their season, you're in the playoffs. Like, you're not playing with in the back of your mind, let's just walk out of here and we both go to the playoffs. You're saying, win and we're in. Then you go win the next one. And you go win the next one. So that's my opinion. I don't think they'll play for a tie. Again, there are scenarios where they may be less aggressive at the very end of the game or in overtime if it ever gets to that point. But all that being said, I think the Chargers win by 2 touchdowns. I don't think it matters. Or 2 scores. Excuse me. I'll go 2 scores. But hey, kickoff for the second half of the Rams game is here. Let's go Rams. Let's get this win, get to the playoffs as a 2 seed. Thank you all for hopping on with me quick. Hit me up on Twitter all game, all day long. Be covering the rest of the Rams game, and I'll be at the Chargers game or covering the Chargers game later tonight at Ryan Dyrud, LAFB. Talk to you guys all there. Appreciate you. Go Rams, go Bolts later tonight. LAFBnetwork.com. Check us all there.